maternal grandmother was born in Exuma. She came over to the United States in the early 1900s, married a man from Nassau, Bahamas, who had already migrated here. The two of them were migrant workers, so they immediately moved to the Glades area. The 1928 hurricane occurred in September of 1928. They lost their entire family. All of their siblings died in that hurricane. They survived, and they left the Glades and went to West Palm Beach for a few months, which is where my mother was born. And then they moved back to Delray Beach with some of my father's family, who was in Delray Beach and in Broward County. I was born in Boynton Beach, Bethesda Hospital in Delray Beach. I have seen tremendous change in terms of opportunities for African Americans. I have not necessarily seen African Americans take advantage of those opportunities. There are some people that I have noticed who may not have weathered the changes effectively, but for the most part, the changes have been positive. Segregation went out with a whimper. Not to say that there weren't any uprisings. One particular one that comes to mind is beach segregation. There was a time when Black people could not swim in the municipal beach. There were other areas of beaches that were designated for Black people to swim on. There are two schools of thought. Those who believe that the desegregation of schools is imperative. Then there's another school of thought who thinks that African American children got left out and got left behind when schools were desegregated, that they were getting a better education under a segregated school system. My opinion is sort of a hybrid of those two schools of thinking. Because when the schools were segregated, we had teachers who cared personally for the kids in the classes, and they went out of their way and found resources to use to educate those children. And they knew them personally and could tailor education to the learning patterns of each of those children. None of that is being done as much anymore for the African American children. None of us live in a segregated bubble. We all live with all of the cultures around us. And so it's important for us to begin our educational process right from the beginning in the company of the other cultures. The community as a group always got together and sat down with city leaders and found solutions, even if it took a little time. And in that case, it took a little bit of time. But again, they found a resolution that did not require a lot of protesting or a lot of uprising. There were no building burnings or anything like that. We as a society have very much political freedom. The political systems have been set up to benefit those who know how to work them, and we play the game in order to work for change. You can't know there needs to be a change, and you can't know how to make a change unless you know what's actually happening. Personal freedoms are determined from within. It's a mindset, it's a decision that you make, and it's a way of life. I never growing up really understood what the Urban League stood for. Urban League was just sort of like a sound to me. I didn't really understand. As I got older, I started to understand the Urban League is attempting to make everyone aware of what they can be and what they can achieve and what they can become. The Spady Museum is here to preserve primarily and to share secondarily the history of Black people in Palm Beach County. Up until 1995, when our nonprofit organization was formed, there were very few organizations, structured organizations in Palm Beach County that were collecting and preserving and sharing the history. The Black people who helped settle Palm Beach County and make a community here, their contributions are never forgotten.